Hi everyone, just wanted to make a quick video for you all just to go over how to tune a string instrument. Especially seeing as we're in lockdown, I'm sure many parents are going to find themselves having to do this many more times. So I'm going to start with my cello, which I've made wildly out of tune. And I'll show you and talk you through the process, and you can see I've got Cleartune up on the other screen as well to kind of show you what I'm looking for and how I'm using that to help myself tune. So first things, we got the pegs up here and the fine tuners down here. These are, as their name suggests, for the finer adjustments, small adjustments. These are for much larger adjustments. So when on your tuner, for example, the A string is nowhere near an A, you can see that just says, well, it's a little bit past a C. I'm not going to get anywhere near where it should be with the fine tuners. The fine tuners will be for if it's, a couple of those little lines away from the A. So I'm going to show you firstly, how do I use the pegs? I'm going to show you from this angle for a reason. I want you to notice that with this finger, or my thumb on the cello, and there'll be an equivalent you can do on the violin. With my thumb on the cello, I'm going to be constantly plucking the note as I turn the A peg. The reason is, if I turn this too far, I can very easily snap the string. And you won't ever know how far you've turned it unless you're hearing how far you've turned it. So this is the A string. I'm going to adjust the peg and try and get the A as close to an A on the tuner as I possibly can. Okay, you see, it's, oh, that's pretty close. Oh, but now it's slipping down. So the thing with the pegs is they're only held in by friction and kind of pressure. So as if you ever have to loosen it, you got to kind of pull it out a little bit as you turn it. And to tighten it, you got to kind of push it in as you turn it. It's quite tough. It takes a while to get used to. But remember, the key thing is the entire time you're adjusting this, you got to be checking to make sure that you're not going too far, and you do that by making noise. So that's the A string. The same thing with the D string. Get it closer to a D. Now, I've been doing this a while, so this is pretty quick for me, but this might take you 5 or 10 minutes the first time you have to adjust the pegs. This is the G string. I'm sure many string players will tell you about probably the first time they were forced to use the pegs on their own. I snapped my A string a couple of times in high school when I didn't really know how to do it properly. I'm pretty sure almost everyone has. So now I'm trying to get the C. Oh, that's too far. Got to be careful of that. I shouldn't have done that. So where are we now? G sharp, C sharp, not quite there, F sharp, close to a C. So what happens is, often as the tension on another string is adjusted, it will change the pitch of a different string. So even though I got the A pretty close to an A, it's gone flatter now because I've made the C string a bit tighter. So I find when tuning with the pegs and the fine tuners, a couple of swipes, a couple of passes through really helps. So I'll do that with the pegs first. Well, that's a little bit too far. And actually I've skipped a step, I've realized. So my fine tuners right now are all the way down. Think of it like a screw. There comes a point where you can't screw it in anymore. So I actually don't have any room to adjust my fine tuners once I've got the approximate pitch right. So what is often helpful to do is really undo these so that you've got plenty of room either way to go sharper or flatter. Make sure you don't go too far. So when mine are at a good stage, they look kind of like about that high from the string, you can see. So one more pass. It's close to an A. So notice I'm looking for that yellow kind of triangle to be as close to the pitch as possible. Now I'm getting it pretty close, but I've been messing with these for a long time, so you might not be able to get it as close as I can. The goal is to get it close enough that you can adjust the fine tuners. Okay, how are we sitting now? Still a bit flat on D. Okay, let's see. So, they're all registering the right letter, but none of them are really in tune. Actually, the D is pretty close, but not the G or the C. So then, I'm going to come down to the fine tuners, and this is something that you won't be able to do yourself unless you've learned how to use a bow. You probably haven't, so you're going to have to ask your child to sit there very diligently and just backwards and forwards on the bow. And so this arm is what your child is doing, and this arm is what you're doing. So the whole time they're playing, you're watching the tuner, and if you'll see, that needle is going closer and closer to the A string. There, we got that right on. And now, do you see the D has gone sharp now, when that was really in tune a couple of seconds ago? That's because I changed the A. So the D is going to go lower. The important thing to remember also with this is you want to make a clear sound while you're tuning, because the tuner often will pick up different noises. If I go down here and have a really bad tone, see the tuner thinks it's a D now. Well, now it's gone back to G, but so make sure you're making a good tone on the bow that the tuner can register. It's a little bit sharp. And so another sweep, you see the A's gone sharp again. And D has gone flat. And because I know this isn't my final pass, I'm not being so specific with the needle yet, but this might be my final pass, so now I'm really going to try and get the needle as close to where it wants to be as possible. Still a tiny bit sharp. That's pretty good actually. Good. So hopefully when you tune, you will only have to play with these ones. Every now and again you'll have to play with these ones. I hear parents and students say things like, oh, but I tuned my cello yesterday, why is it out of tune now? And the reality is these things are so sensitive to temperature, to humidity, to the slightest knock. You know, in a day of practice for me, every time I walk away from my cello and I come back and sit down, I'll tune it again. And even while I'm sitting there over the course of an hour, I might just kind of check the tuning 2 or 3 times. So you don't need to be that fussy, but just, I would say every single time before your lesson or before your child sits down to practice, do a quick check. Check every string. You see, the needle's not always going to go exactly there because it's a bit sensitive, but as long as it's within like 1 notch either side, you're usually pretty good. So good luck and happy practicing.